Hi there, I'm Father Chris Decker, and today on Joe Catholic Draws, we are drawing the Roman Missal. Hi everybody, yes, the Roman Missal is not a projectile, but rather it is the book that contains within it all of the prayers and actions of the Holy Mass. It tells the priest and deacon and the other sacred ministers how to celebrate the Mass, as well as all of the things that are to be said and prayed during the Mass. It's got the entire liturgical calendar in it and all of the prayers and rites that pertain to the sacred liturgy. And so today, it might be a simple drawing, but we're going to learn how to draw it. So let's get amongst it. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw, it's kind of like a bird, these rounded lines. And that's going to form the top of the pages of our book, okay? And then we're going to draw vertical lines, some vertical lines. I'm going to just tilt my workspace here a little bit so that I can get a better line. And then we're going to draw those like so. And then we're going to draw two more of those rounded lines and connect all of these other vertical lines together. And I'm just going to connect them in. Okay, those are the two topmost pages of the book. The book is open. And so then, next, we're going to draw the bottom of those pages. So it goes like this, and like this. And then we're going to approximate the pages with a little curved line. You see, and it looks like an open book. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do, in fact, if you want, you can bring these together like that. And then the next thing that we're going to do are draw some brackets. And the brackets are going to go on the outside of the pages here because that is the cover of the book as if it's open. And so if you'll watch where the brackets are going to go, they're going to go like this and then down past the book. I can get it right on the first try, hardly ever. You know, that's one of the things that as an artist you have to be okay with is using your eraser and not getting the shapes all the way right the first time. And then we're going to draw a bracket on the other side. Have to be patient with yourself if you're an artist, just like with everything else. Okay, so that forms the basics of the cover and the back cover, the front cover and the back cover of the book as if they're opened. But then what we're going to do is we're going to continue that line along almost to the center. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. I can draw a straight line. Today I can. Okay? And then about where the center of the book is, we're going to draw a little dip, a little half circle. And that's basically where the book opens up, right? The spine of the book. And then we're just going to kind of do the same thing to give the book a little weight. Having trouble drawing lines today. There we go, just kind of an outline. And then we're going to want to close that in too. All right, so we have the basics of a book. Okay, and then all missals, Roman missals, have a lot of bookmarks. I've only just shown two here, but just to give you a sense of what they look like, and you'll need to be able to use your eraser here, is if you draw, looks kind of like a snake's tongue, sort of. And then we're going to do the same thing off the side. And say, if you want, you can add a few more. They're usually 5 or 6, and I'm going to just bring one behind the other. And then I'm going to use my eraser and erase so that it's sitting on top of the book, not intersecting it. See where we're going here? Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one coming out of the bottom of the book too. Okay. All right. So I like where that's headed. And then you'll notice with these shapes here, those are just kind of randomly placed throughout the book to show to show that pages exist. Because right now these just look like a bunch of solid forms. But if you want to show pages, you do that usually with just some lines. And they don't have to be completely straight across. In fact, sometimes, because, you know, occasionally pages get scrunched up, you'll see I've got a little triangle, and so sometimes I'll draw those in just to show that maybe there's a bookmark somewhere, or a piece of card. It gives a little bit of weight to the book, it gives it a little more believability. Okay, I'm just going to close up some of my lines here. All right, we've got a perfectly good, serviceable Roman Missal. Now you'll notice I also have a bonus, and that is we have a bonus where we can show a little bit more as if the book is sitting on a missal stand, and so we can draw the missal stand as well. And so that, you'll have to do a little erasing. All the work you've done, and you'll do a little bit of erasing, but we have a line across to make a box. You notice I'm careful about my bookmark there, because now you can leave the book as is if you want. You don't need a missal stand, but this is just a bonus if you want a little bit extra believability here of the missal sitting on a stand. Figured I would include it. And we're just gonna erase again the bottom of the book, so it looks like it's going to be sitting in the missal stand. Okay, I'm just going to redraw a couple of my lines here that have gotten a little messed up. Okay, so now it looks like we have the base of the missal stand, and now we're going to draw the back of the missal stand. Okay. Just a whole bunch of squares, isn't it? And you can see I have where if you want to draw the missal stand over the book, you can, because it looks like, in fact, I'll do that just so that you can see. Sometimes it sits behind the book, sometimes it sits a little above it. Depends on the missal stand, but it just goes across. Connect my lines up here. See, I told you it was a little bit more involved than just drawing a bunch of squares to make a book. Although there are a lot of squares in here. There we go. All right, and now we have the little feet for the missal stand, which are just these little flourishy characters. It's kind of like drawing a J. And another J. There you go. There's your Roman Missal. Now you'll notice there are no illuminations on the page, and so you're going to have to add that. Now I didn't include it in the side because, you know, really it could be just about anything. Here is a look at what the Roman Missal looks like whenever I'm looking at it to pray. And so you can see there are a lot of options as to how you might want to decorate your Roman Missal. You've got all these blank pages, so you've got really a blank canvas. And so for our purposes, maybe we'll just stick with something simple, a cross and a few little embellishments. And so we'll teach you how to do that. So a cross is pretty easy. You're going to draw a rectangle, a long rectangle. And then we're going to go to the middle of the page and draw another rectangle. And you notice I'm kind of warping it a little bit because it's on a rounded page. I'm going to get my eraser out and erase inside our cross. Okay. And then we'll just draw some circles, and that gives us kind of the facing page. And you might want to draw a little border around it. So it can sometimes look nice. So there's our border. The Roman canon is what we call the first Eucharistic prayer, and so we have the ability to at least begin to draw the first part of that, and I would recommend that we use a drop cap. And a drop cap is the one large letter that begins the paragraph. And so the way that the Eucharistic prayer begins is, "To you, therefore, most merciful Father." And so why don't we just make that really simple? I'm just going to zoom in here. So let's see. I'm going to draw another square. This is going to be where our drop cap lives. And we're going to draw a T. And so we're going to do 2 horizontal lines that almost come together. And then we're going to do 2 vertical lines. And that makes the T. And then, kind of like I did on the facing page, I'm going to do a little illumination and then maybe some cross-hatching. Cross-hatching are little itty-bitty lines going in this case, a diagonal direction. And then I'm just going to color in the drop cap border to give it some weight. Okay, and now I'm going to just approximate the first few lines. So T-O, U, therefore. So you see what we're doing. To you, therefore, most merciful Father. We make humble prayer and petition. And so now I'm just kind of giving little hints. Normally this is what artists do, is they just do little squiggles to show that there's more writing if you don't want to write the whole thing. But really we have a beautiful little way here of just kind of showing you that it's an important document, an important book. All right, I didn't quite get that right. Let me tilt my canvas here so I can make a proper heading. All right, and then I'm just going to put a Roman numeral 1 up at the top so that we can see it's the first Eucharistic prayer, the canon. All right, so now that we have our book, let's go ahead and color it. Now, the Missal stand is going to be a golden color. So I've got my golden color. Go ahead and shift my layers here. Right. There's my golden color for my Roman Missal stand. Making sure I get everything here. Okay. And there. All right. And then the next part is to color the Missal. And the Missal is generally a red color. A lot of our books are red. And so here's the book. Okay. And while I have red, let me color the bottom of the book here. Whoop. Nope. Getting closer. All right. And while I have my red here, The part of the Roman Missal that tells the priest what to do, the black is what the priest says, but there are little red instructions called rubrics, which is the Latin word for red. And so I'm going to write those rubrics in here. And then while I've got my red selected, I'm going to go ahead and color in these. Okay, very good. And let's see here. And now the paper color, you can pick just about any, I mean, you can use the white color of the paper if that's what you've got, but if you have a lot of colored pencils or a lot of crayons, you might want to choose something like a muted gray, or in this case, I'm going to choose kind of a muted yellow color to give the sense of parchment a little bit anyway. Okay. Oh, and you can see that my color is overtaking, so there we go. Okay. I'm just going to fill in these bits here. Okay. And now for the other parts of the drop cap, I'm going to choose something really kind of nice and clever. So how about green? Looks good, doesn't it? And then we'll also choose kind of another brownish color for the preceding page. All right. Just trying to achieve some harmony as we draw. That green is a little green. Let me pick another color, and then perhaps we'll use that blue on the other side. Maybe we won't, because that's a little too blue. So how about, let's see here, another darker brown color maybe? Yeah, that works. All right, and then we will color in our bookmarks. Okay, we'll use that green again. Just didn't really work as a drop cap. All right, and then we'll pick a yellow color for our other bookmark. And I don't want to forget the bottom of the Missal stand. I got to choose my gold color again and color that in. All right, there we go. This is our Roman Missal. So yeah, let me know how your Roman Missal came out in the comments, or if you want, you can tag it JC Draws on your social media so that not only I, but everybody else can see how it came out. See you next time on Joe Catholic Draws.